Hello everyone, welcome to my channel called Silver Hill, where I aim to help you navigate semi-retirement. Have you ever noticed sometimes in the mornings, I know this is true of me, in that pre-waking moment when you're laying in bed, you know you got to get up for the day, you start to, I know I do, I sort of have these thoughts in my mind. They're sort of kind of dark thoughts in a way. Kind of, I think when you get our age, as this channel is aimed for people between, say, 55, 65 and up, people who are halfway there to retirement, thus semi-retirement, and you're trying to make the best of it and trying to get along. So that's what my aim is to do, is to help you in some small way, not with professional advice on career or mental health, but just my own thoughts, and to create a community where others can share their thoughts and how to help us all get along as we navigate this time in our lives. Yeah, I often wake up in the mornings thinking about, it's not that I'm really dwelling on it, but at my age I've already lost my father, who was someone who left a big impression on my life in many ways, and in some ways he's been gone now for, let's see, 2021, so at least 3 years, and he lived to be 87 years old. He was very strong-minded man, and I don't think he really had too many doubts, and if he did have doubts, he never shared them. But if you're like me, you're at this stage of life and this age where you've lost some people, and you know that you're gonna lose more if you're still hanging around. And just trying to catch my breath. I'm trying to get my walk in here, and it's dusk. It's getting dusk fast, so hopefully it won't get too dark to film. I'm just looking around at the sky and seeing the birds flying around. It's a really nice nature view here on this walk. But yeah, you know, you start losing people, and it tends to hang on you. I suppose maybe some people will dwell on their own mortality and, gee, am I going to die today? But I mean, that can happen at any age, and you know, we have to consider ourselves somewhat fortunate if we've made it to 55 and up. A lot of people just don't make it that far, do they? But anyways, I'll find sometimes in the morning I'll get these sort of dark thoughts. There's just, I don't know, just like the thoughts of like, well, what's this day going to bring? Or, you know, not literally thinking, is someone going to die today, but I don't know, kind of a ghost of a thought that's in behind your mind. And anyway, I do find, if it's any help, that the state of mind that you take to bed with you the night before sometimes does affect your morning waking thoughts. And so one of the things I have done is that the night before, I'll start thinking about, well, what do I want to do tomorrow? Like, you know, I do a lot of art, cartooning, and different things, even this vlogging, and I try to think, wow, that's going to be fun, or, I mean, it is a lot of work, but whatever you're doing, work is going to be involved. But I do sometimes, I try every night to think, as I'm laying there in bed, well, I want to get up and do that thing. I can't wait to get to do that thing. And sometimes that, for me at least, maybe not for you, it helps me sleep. So, and it helps me sometimes wake up with a little bit better of a disposition in my mind. We've got an airplane coming here. I can't show you, but you might hear it. It's kind of flying low over the treetops. And if you do hear that, that's what you're going to hear in the background. Anyway, yeah, so you'll have these thoughts. And another thing I like to do is watch something not too heavy at night, you know? Like I do like some horror movies, mostly classic horror. But, you know, you do get these shows that can be quite unnerving and especially if they're based on realism, like war or something like that. And I know there's a lot of people going through a lot right now in other countries. And I feel for you guys. It's quite a battle you got there, and you're in trenches trying to fight for your freedom and that sort of thing. And you are in my thoughts, that's for sure. But generally speaking, I find that if I go to bed with some very heavy or deep intellectual type of movie or something like that, true story, it does affect my sleep. And that's one thing I'd like to say that does help us on this journey in semi-retirement, is to try to take control as much as we can of our mental state. Now, I've been honest before in other videos. Years ago, after I lost my job, a job I loved, I started having anxiety attacks and dealt with some depression. And I did see my doctor and eventually got to see a counselor. I did take some medication for just over a year, just to kind of help take the edge off. Fortunately, I didn't need too much, and I was able to come off it slowly, and I've been pretty good since. But there are a lot of things that we can do to help improve our mental state. So I do find getting lots of exercise, walking as much as you can, as someone said, if you're able to, and you should talk with a professional, your doctor, if you're able to, lift some weights, because as you get older, I'm not talking 50 pounds here, I'm just talking, you know, just enough to keep those muscles tensed up enough to help you get through things. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say about, speaking of muscles, I think I lost a lot of, just sort of getting it back now, some, what do you call it, muscle strength or whatever. I had to go through a couple big surgeries, which I did do another video on that last year. Well, last year this time, I had already gone through surgery. I was in the hospital for 5 days for what's known as a necrotic gallbladder. That's when the gallbladder dies, and they got to get it out of you before you die from infection. So I had complained for years for trouble like that, and finally, when it became a crisis, they didn't even see it. Even the ultrasounds and that sort of thing didn't even show, you know, enough results. But the surgeon said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to operate anyway. And short story, I woke up and he told me, you got to stay in the hospital 5 days, and then you'll we'll see how you do. And if it gets worse, you'll have to go into a bigger city for more surgery. Fortunately, it didn't get worse, but I did have another development. Over the years, I had been dealing with benign prostate hyperplasia, which was in the prostate grows. And I was taking medication for that. When I came out of the surgery, what happened was I couldn't urinate. Couldn't at all, and I tried. So I ended up, about this time last year, this is December, I was still in a catheter, and my surgery for the gallbladder was in August. So anyways, I had to do a number of surgeries. Finally, I had surgery done last January called TERP, as you might know, and that helps you down there, at least for several years ahead, to be able to go to the washroom and that sort of thing. Anyways, my apologies to the ladies out there that aren't really interested in this topic. But anyways, one of the things I did notice after having gone to sleep like under anesthesia for so much, I had this strange, like I ended up sleeping on the sofa for several months, because it was just too much wearing a catheter at night and trying to get into bed and that sort of thing. My bed's upstairs, so I slept on the sofa. And one thing I found is once things all cleared up, I got back. I only had to wear a catheter after the surgery for about 5 days. But it took roughly 16 weeks to get back to where I could pass water again, as the old timers say. And it took about 16 weeks. So I was into April of this year. But one thing I did find is that once I started going back up to my own bedroom, I had this sort of bit of, I don't know if you call it a panic, but this little uneasiness, this mental thing where I didn't really want to go to sleep. I felt that going to sleep was almost like maybe dying. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that there was, I know other people have had more surgeries than that, than me. But for me, I felt like I had been asleep and not doing enough. And I don't know, it just had this mental thing. I had to kind of every night kind of try to ignore the thought of this thing, of doing, of just sleeping. And so now I'm at the point a year or so later, and I do, like I say, I do try to think of things in the morning that's going to get me up early and that sort of thing. Yeah, if you do need help in these sort of things with your mental health, I think mental health is everything for everyone's age. I think it's ignored. We ignore it in children. We think children are just so tough that they're just going to overcome everything, you know. Their mind's going to just do it all. But I think mental health is everything. And you know, you at our age, you might be even worried about how much retirement funds you have. Excuse me, it's getting a little cold out here. And you might be worrying about your retirement funds, how much money you're making. And one of the things I think about semi-retirement is that we are still interested in making some coin on the side with the talents and that sort of thing that we have. I do have another video about that too, about how you can, you know, assess your situation and move ahead, take some action. But anyway, yeah, I think mental health is the first start of everything. So if you're worried about your income or your health, one of the things that happens in the mind for some of us, especially with someone with generalized anxiety like myself, or you know, depression, somewhat I've had in the past, but one of those things is to avoid catastrophic thinking. And that's the thought that one terrible thing is going to lead to another terrible thing, and it's all going to go to hell real fast. Even though those things are true, and last year was kind of an example to me of that how bad things could get, like one after another, bang, bang, bang. And then, you know, and then I even had to have a colonoscopy last summer, and that was another thing I had to go out for. And it turned out to be benign and everything, but the test result that I took showed that I had to go have one. Well, I had just been urinating blood, you know, up until April, May. So I put it off as long as I could because I didn't want traces of blood somehow showing up in my test. But sure enough, I got the result back late spring, and it said, you have to come in and have a colonoscopy. Fortunately, everything went good, but there was another procedure done within 12 months where I had to have anesthesia. And I have an aunt, bless her heart, who is 89 years old. She likes to remind me that every time she thinks you have anesthesia, you lose a bit, you take one more step towards dementia or something like that. I don't see the scientific evidence on that one. And besides, I had to have the surgery, that's for sure. There was no getting around that. But anyways, it's getting kind of dusk here, so I'll have to end up soon. But I'm really wondering, what do you guys do? You can write down in the comments. What do you do for your mental health? Have you had any similar experiences with thinking about, you know, just thinking about waking up? And have you noticed that if you have good thoughts before you go to bed, you tend to have maybe better thoughts the next day and in the morning, and then it usually, from what you can control, your day goes a little better. That's what I find anyway. And yeah, so I'm just wondering what you guys think, and I think we'll close it there because I'm losing light here, so you're going to see the quality of the video go down. Anyways, from Silver Hill, this is Kevin Cameron, and I'm hoping you guys will have the best of semi-retirement you can have, and my thoughts go to you, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Okay, bye.